righty, Stan Druckenmiller, multi-billion-dollar hedge fund manager, hasn't had a down year since 1981. He's now very, very short the dollar, and he's very long Asia, including China. He notes that the U.S. is still locked down and expanded money supply 25% annually, while China hasn't had to do this. What's your analysis of the pandemic and post-pandemic situation, Dan?
Well, the U.S. dollar, we're clearly getting towards a new sterling crisis. You know, if people remember the sterling crisis of the 70s, the British pound probably lost 75% of its value. Budgets started getting cut, industries closed, people lost faith in the pound, and everything went to the dollar. We're kind of in that transition phase now. The printing of the dollar, you're seeing it's mathematical. We're reaching the end game here. 10 trillion last year, another 10 trillion is going to happen this year. The printing can't stop. If the printing stops, the whole house of cards collapses. So there's no roadmap outside for the United States economy, the way it's built today, other than money printing. So I think what he's getting at there is, and our money printing is based off a unreal economy. Our manufacturing's gone. Our infrastructure is crumbled. Our economy is built basically on a house of cards, and all this money printing is going to cause a transition to China and the RMB, I think.
Right. Now, here's a headline to consider. China and SWIFT are partnering to take a digital currency global. We are heading to a post-dollar settlement layer world, it seems, Dan. How's this going to impact Asia?
So as you know, Max, the U.S. has one of our exorbitant privileges is to print dollars and get goods for it. We get Saudi oil, we get Chinese manufactured goods. That privilege is ending. We've used that. We've weaponized the SWIFT system. China knows this. Russia knows this. The rest of the world is. Even the Europeans aren't happy about it. And we're going to lose that privilege. We just keep printing money and getting goods for it. They've been working for years now to go around this system. What was just announced, as you mentioned, the SWIFT is partnering with China on the digital yuan. China, as we've talked before, is 50x the number of mobile payments. I mean, if you take cash in China and try to give it to somebody at the cash register, they're going to look at you like crazy. We don't have cash change to give you. So everything's been mobile payments. Now China's taking the next leap forward. They're doing the digital yuan. It's already been launched in 4 or 5 cities. ATMs are out in the cities. People are getting drops of blockchain-based digital yuan so that they can test it out. The big corporate China is right behind it. JD, Alibaba's, everyone's accepting digital yuan now. This is going to be China's digital currency. And if you want a free ecosystem, it's going to be the Bitcoin ecosystem. The dollar, we have yet to really move fast enough on the digital dollar. So the whole point of this on these blockchain type currencies is to lower transactions, get the velocity of money moving. And over here in the US, we're still writing checks. And that's where the Bitcoin ecosystem has moved in to try to create a digital currency system. And I think what we're going to see going forward is that digital yuan is going to link up internationally to Bitcoin, and the US dollar will have to be on a Bitcoin system. And we'll see if a digital dollar ever gets done. At this point, we're not good at getting anything done, so I don't see it happening. But yeah, that's what's going on with the digital yuan.
Right, you mentioned an interesting point there. The central bank digital currencies are in vogue all over the world. China's coming out with theirs. But you do mention that you believe it's going to migrate to a Bitcoin ecosystem. Bitcoin would be the base layer, it would be the collateral layer, if you will, because of its incredibly secure nature and the fact that it is becoming kind of a global standard. So that's an interesting point. I mean, of course, China is also very close strategically with Iran and Russia. Do you see that spreading into those areas? And by the way,
absolutely.
And do you see that spreading into those areas? And at the same time, can you give an update on the Belt and Road Initiative?
Sure, absolutely. We're coming into a world with 2 geopolitical blocks. It's basically U.S. and Western Europe, and then again maybe South America against everyone else. And it'll be China, Russia, Iran, Turkey, basically a complete Eurasian bloc. And geopolitically, we're coming up against that. China's already, moving 5G electrical grids. Also, Africa is going to be in that core. The digital yuan is designed to go around the U.S. dollar system. I mean, China could start sending digital yuan to the central bank in Nigeria, central bank in Tanzania, wherever. And so that's going to combine with the One Belt, One Road. So One Belt, One Road is all about building out ports and electrical grids and roads and building up the economies of mostly the, these countries that have been left behind economically, where some simple infrastructure development greatly improves their economy. It's shrinking travel times and getting goods to market and things like that. But absolutely, I think eventually we're going to see everyone have a digital currency. It's going to have to combine internationally somewhere, and it's not going to be an SDR. No one's going to trust the IMF. It'll be a Bitcoin layer. But the interesting thing will be you're not printing new Bitcoins, you're only printing the new digital currency. So they'll have digital currencies, but they'll continue to print it. They'll continue to expand that supply base. So you're going to have a Bitcoin ecosystem, and you'll have national digital currency ecosystems.
Right. Well, let's talk about some other high-level skullduggery. We can't mention any kind of democratic connection to any Chinese scandals, of course, because this show goes on YouTube, and YouTube's very sensitive about that, and they're very protective of those folks. So, but we can slam Republicans. So, talk about the Mitch McConnell Chinese elite scandal, Dan.
Yeah, Mitch McConnell, his wife is their father owns a very large shipping company that is China-based. They're very integrated with the top CCP leadership. They've gotten hundreds of millions of dollars in contracts. Her sister's on the board of directors of the Bank of China. So there are very, very deep connections in very high places within those families.
Right. So there is a bit of a kerfuffle out there. Students are being deported, Chinese students, and because there's a lot of paranoia now between the two countries. So is this overblown, overreaction? Was there naivete involved? Break it down. Is America got a Chinese student spy problem, Dan?
Well, I think it's a bad policy in general. So we have, hundreds of thousands of we did pre-COVID have hundreds of thousands of Chinese students here in the United States, all paying the international fees, which are, 2 times, 3 times more than Americans pay. And, as you said, 99.9% of them, there's not an issue there. And we have cultural soft power. When they come over here, they love it. A lot of them learn to love the U.S. They become culturally close to us. We understand each other. And it's not just them coming here. We go over there. My first time in China, I was an exchange student at Tsinghua University, which is like the MIT of China. So this kind of cross-cultural exchange is a good thing. With that being said, we are a little bit naive in sometimes, and we let Chinese students into very sensitive areas where they probably shouldn't be. So, there's reasons to be careful of it, but you can't throw out the baby with the bathwater here and be completely isolated from China. It just doesn't make sense.
To what degree do you think that has had in swinging the economic pendulum away from the U.S. toward China?
Well, it's it's hard to say. I mean, there's nothing that China doesn't know, basically. I mean, there's so many people here in so many sensitive positions. If you go, most of the PhDs we graduate are from China or India. So we stopped producing a lot of PhD candidates in things like mathematics and physics. We basically import students for those programs. So they're everywhere in high sensitive areas. And I think only the last year or so that U.S. FBI and places like this are starting to look at this. China has the Confucius Institutes that were set up at most campuses in the United States. The United States is putting in action against those. Interesting issue that the U.S. will have to deal with going forward.
Right. Meanwhile, I don't see many Russian students here, but okay, that's another story. Hey, so the U.S. dollar turns 50 in August. Does it live all the way to its 50th anniversary? What are China's plans post-dollar?
Post-dollar, I think, it's a free. Right now, the United States is a free rider on the global trade system, right? We print stuff and we get stuff for free just by printing our money. That's going to end. We will go through a sterling crisis like Britain had in the 70s. The dollar will be around. The question is, what will be the value? We could, if you look at our export profile, if you look at our economic profile and you look at our industrial capacity, we are in for a very large drop in living standards probably to the tune of 50 to 75%. And you're seeing that already. You're seeing the tent cities pop up everywhere. It's happening in slow motion. As long as the money printing keeps going exponential, it slows that collapse down. But eventually it catches up to us.
Right, the living standards for a while, it was hidden because although jobs were being exported to China, the price of stuff was dropping faster than the wages were dropping. So people were able to afford high-screen TVs and clothes, cheap clothes, and so that living standards were not noticeably collapsing. But now, due to the ravages of what we must now call inflation, there's inflation in the system. Commodities are entering into a secular bull market. Prices are starting to actually go up in a meaningful way. So now the pendulum swings the other way, so that drop in living standards suddenly becomes noticeable. And you're seeing that really all over the U.S., Dan.
Absolutely. Labor rates in China this year are up 25%. A lot of that's due to COVID. But we're about to see the pendulum swing. Absolutely. We're, instead of 20 years of exporting cheaper and cheaper products here, we're going to get 10 to 20 years of more and more expensive products. And it's going to hit everybody in the living standard. I see it every week. Everything's going up 5% a month. Copper's at all 8-year high. Whether it's scrap steel, pig iron, any type of chemical, finished goods, everyone's putting in price increases across the board. And we're going to have, it's almost a supply chain bottleneck, inflation type of economy everybody's going to have to gear up for and get ready to survive in.